Welcome back to Urban Access Entertainment right here on UBC TV. This is Tim Moss, and we are at the Davenport Theater. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. In Midtown Manhattan, an off-Broadway theater with an exciting new show called Operation
Crucible.
Crucible, yes. And I have the producer and the director here, all the way from London. Yes. So I have Bryony Shanahan.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Steve McGILL.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're off to a good start. I got the names right. So, Bryony, can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Yeah, of course. So the show, it takes place in the Second World War in Sheffield, which is one of the big industry towns in the north that was famous for steelworks. And so during the war, a lot of the steelworkers, it was a protected profession, so they were back home maintaining the factories and keeping the production going.
And if it was steel, that would have been an important contribution to the war.
Yeah, for aircrafts and for weapons as well. And they're famous for cutlery, which is not so dangerous.
wow.
But yeah, all good cutlery comes from Sheffield.
Oh, wow.
But one night in December, in 1940, the Germans came over, and it was called Operation Crucible, and they basically intended to bomb out the steelworks and to cut off the production line. So the story follows four steelworkers who are involved in that incident, and is based on a true story of there was a hotel in the middle of the town that people ran to try and escape the bombing, and a bomb fell directly onto the Marples Hotel, and a lot of people died, but there was a small pocket of air in one of the cellars where some of, but I think it was 7 in real life, but for us it's 4, they got kind of held for hours and hours and hours in this pocket of air as they sort of awaited their fate and hoped for rescue.
My goodness. That's very intense. That's a very intense premise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Steve, what was it about this show that drew you to it?
I think the intensity, as you said. When I knew one of the actors in it, we were friends, and I went to see the show in one of its versions in London above a pub theatre, and loved it and wanted to take it on a journey. So we got together in a pub, as we creatives in Britain do.
I was going to say, that's very English.
Yes, sipping some tea, and we wanted to find out what kind of journey we could take it on, and we were given the opportunity. There's a festival in New York called Brits Off Broadway.
Nice.
Which so it's a great festival which showcases the best of British theatre at 59 East 59 Theatre. So we applied, and we were very lucky to be accepted, and the journey started from there. Really, we did 4 weeks in May this year, and we got fantastic reviews thanks to the great creative team and cast and crew that we have, and here we are at the Davenport Theatre for a longer run, returning for 8 weeks, and and it starts next week, so we're really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's very exciting. So let's get to know the two of you a little bit. So Bryony, when did you start your I'm trying to think of the word, admiration for theater?
I guess I grew up not in a particularly kind of theatre-led area, but I was drawn to it at school, I suppose. I think it was the element of it being live and there being that excitement of anything could happen, and a playfulness. There's something about when you watch live theatre, I think, that it has the potential to move people in a way that is so immediate. So that began really early, and then I thought I wanted to be an actor because I didn't know any other areas of theatre. And so when I was 18, I went to train at a drama school in London, and it was in our 3rd year there that we got the opportunity to direct some plays that within the year had been written, and kind of instantly I was like, right, this is what it is. I'm not an actor, I'm a director.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that you just kind of clicked and fell into your groove. You know?
It was almost like I didn't realize it, but my actor training was my director training.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think is so important for a director, is to have actor training, to be able to understand the actors, and really get through and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, you almost had to have come from acting.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways, but for me, it really informs the way that I direct and the kind of room that I run. And it's really, hopefully, the boys would agree, but actor friendly, and it's about collaboration and play. And kind of really the thing is, it's the relationship between the actors and the audience always that is the thing that I'm fascinated by.
Yes. But I've had like some directors that just don't understand like the limitations of an actor, like, you know, well, we're going to drop you from the ceiling and like, but no, and you also, I think, started on that side of the camera. That's or correct. That as an actor.
Yes, I started acting right from the age of 18. I came down to London from Scotland. You can probably tell from my accent. It's not English, but it's I spent a few years down there.
No, you got the acting bug in London or in Scotland?
Yeah, I got the acting bug, studied there for 3 years, and, you know, became a jobbing actor, as you do. And the reason I sort of got into producing was that I had a day off. So I'd had a day off, and I was working box office. You know, when you're resting, you got to do what you got to do. And I was working in the box office. I had a day off. I was working for Mamma Mia, the show in London there, and the producers were looking for someone to do some, you know, administrative work. So I had the day off, and I was like, well, you know, try it out. So that one day off became, well, can you come back next week? Can you come back the week after? And you know, I was seeing kind of like what Bryony says, seeing it from the other side, the other point of view from the producers. And so they invited me to join the production company, the general manager. So I was, of course, and I was like, well, you're going to start in January. Fine, I'll start in January. And my first day in January was the first day of rehearsals for Jersey Boys.
Oh my
in the
goodness.
UK. So I was like, this is a great day to start. There's Frankie Valli, you know, there's all these creatives in the room. And that's where I got the bug from, seeing, I mean, this massive show, you know, this amazing show. Seeing that from day one, right the way through, just that's when I got in the bug.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Because I think a lot of times, most people, I would say, the actor is the personality that is closest to the audience, that the audience relates to. So that's why I think a lot of people are drawn to acting, and they have no clue or no idea everything that goes on behind the scenes so that actor can act. But I can totally relate to that. Those are fascinating stories of how you actually ventured into the positions that you're in right now. But directing, I always find so interesting and so creative too, because once you know it's a way of bringing the story and these people that are going to be telling the story together, and then how you're going to tell the story is the directing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this, it was, we don't have any props. We have a very simple set, and we are kind of depicting, the huge mills in which they used to, and these really physical jobs. So it was really fun for us to kind of go, and that was, a choice that we don't want anything. Like, can we tell this story physically? How do we shape ingots and melt steel and forge just with us? And kind of finding that language in the room was kind of one of the things I enjoyed most, I think, about the process.
Now, you have been with this since, like, the original incarnation, correct?
Yeah, since 2013. So I was invited by Kieran, the writer, and the other boys, actually, to come in and hear a read-through of the latest draft of the play that they got to.
Wow.
And I came along and I heard it and I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've got to do this.
You could kind of see it in your head or have an idea at that time?
Yeah, I think you have instincts, and I think my instinct was, this is all about these four actors, and it's how, like I say, how do we make this just with them? How do we make this really dynamic, atmospheric? How do we make the audience feel like they're in the mill and then they're in the cellar when it's been bombed out? So it's a really immediate experience.
Right. Well, that's such a traumatic experience that these people experienced, and like how to portray that on stage, to go from like a large area into like darkness and panic and small enclosed. That's really fascinating directing, actually.
Yeah, and I think that it's one of the great things about the play is that it, of course, at its heart is a really tragic incident, but actually the way structurally it works, it kind of goes back and forth in time, so it's really, really fun, and there's loads of British humour.
Oh, good. I love British humour.
Flying around all the time, and also it's about a city and a spirit of a city and the act of recovery and defiance and continuing. So though to try and access those different kind of shifts is really fun.
Yes. Well, Operation Crucible, I am so looking forward to seeing this. So now you've produced other shows as well, correct?
Yes, yeah, I produce, I sort of co-produce UK tours. We've currently got Fame, Madagascar, and Flashdance out in the tour in the UK. And it also gives me the chance to do new writing, which I'm passionate about. And so, yeah, I've got this coming out. I've got some extra shows next year, so it's really exciting.
Wonderful.
But
Very good.
yeah, this is the first sort of major step onto New York and Broadway, so I'm really excited. Yeah.
So, because for me, the one thing that I love about London and the UK is their support for theater. Theater is well embraced. Here in the United States, we have the telly. That people across the country, I would say a very large majority, sit there in front of the television, many times in their underwear, enjoying their favorite television show, and being a live performer to try to get Americans to get off the sofa, put on a pair of pants, go outside in whatever the weather is, to transport themselves over to a theater to sit down to pay and then sit down to watch is quite a process here in the United States. Whereas again in London it just seems to be a little bit more, theater seems to be a little bit more in the ingrained culture. Would you say I'm, or has the theater been suffering?
I think we face similar challenges. Actually, I think there's obviously a huge theatre-going culture in London, but also for us, we're always really excited about trying to access the people that don't necessarily come all the time, and kind of we love it when we get people in the theatre who go, this is our first visit, and we've done this show in London, but we've also done it on tour throughout the UK.
Oh, nice.
Including Sheffield, which was a really a homecoming and was really emotional.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, there was people in the audience who again weren't necessarily theatre goers, but that were there that night, that the bombing occurred, that remember it, or remember that their grandmother or their father was involved. So that was really amazing.
Yeah, I imagine. So again, that's kind of your job also, is in producing the show, is to kind of bring all the elements together, the director and the actor and all of that, but then also to kind of head and getting people into the theater or into whatever venue the production is. Yes. So I personally, that's one of my least favorite parts of being an entertainer, is trying to promote and get people in. Yes. But I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, I think that's having that experience in box office, being at the front line. You know, that's really, I've been really lucky to have that experience to kind of see. To see, they're the front line. They're you know they're the first people that if you're going to the theatre, it ends with the performance. But the first person that you interact with is the box office, is to book your tickets. So I was always, of the opinion that that's where the show starts.
Oh, interesting.
The show starts there, and if you can make the prices accessible, I think that's a major aspect. We've got this premium culture, which is great, which is fantastic for subsidising seats to make them cheaper. So a bit like, I suppose, if you would do that with like business class and airlines and economy, and there's a range that we can do that get people in. For $39, you can see a top class show, which I felt was really important. But yeah, it's always one of the challenges. But I think that with this show, it's always been a case of the momentum. We get a lot of people recommending to others, and we've had some great write-ups, which has always helped. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and getting people to see it. But I think spreading the word and making theatre accessible is how we start that fight back,
Yeah.
by getting people in, because once they're in, well, then that's hopefully you've got them hooked.
Yes, right.
You know?
Well, one other thing I just kind of wanted to touch on with you, Steve, about here in the United States, this capitalist society, most of it is pretty much everything in our society is based on money.
Yes.
Money. And so unless you know or have an in, you really don't get discounts here. I mean, we have like Theater Mania that New Yorkers know about, that, you know, certain things, but the prices on Broadway theaters has just gotten outrageous.
I heard,
and so much of the time it's either a revival or something that the people are familiar with, or they're try to bank on like tourists coming in, so they'll take a famous movie, throw some songs in, and call it a musical, in the hopes that they will buy one of these overpriced tickets to go see a story that they already know how it's going to come out.
Yes.
Is that, again, in London, it seems to me being a little more theater friendly, the culture that there's more room for original pieces like this. Would you say?
I would say that we're very lucky in the UK that we have a subsidised theatre sector, so that the government,
that would be wonderful.
it is. You know, it's fantastic, and we've got to protect that, of course. You know, in the age of austerity and whatnot, you know, there still needs to be a place for culture in society. So yeah, we're very lucky that we have this wonderful subsidised sector that can take risks,
Nice.
and are allowed to experiment. And can also then have a commercial life after that. You know, sometimes you can pocket it into, is it either commercial theatre or is it, you know, subsidised? Well, why can't subsidised be commercial? Why can't you take something like Warhorse, for example?
Yes.
Would I have, or a commercial producer, taken the risk on Warhorse without any sort of risk or help from the government? I don't think many people would. And look, it's a worldwide success. So we're very lucky that, and you know, we've got to fight to sort of keep that going, because it's a very important part of our culture.
Absolutely. Now, I think Bryony, I think you had mentioned before we started rolling about new works. Can you touch on that a little bit? Because I think you came from, or in the past, you had done new works.
Yeah. So I mean, I direct across all platforms really, but new work and new writing is my thing, and is the thing that I'm most passionate about. I think, we were chatting, but I think it's that chance to have the writer in the room. I always say, and then you kind of in the wrestle about, does it work for these actors? And you're watching it live and making it live and having a really honest conversation where, yeah, it's like a really lovely fight. I always think, and the chance to tell stories that haven't necessarily been told, or to shine a light in an area that needs a bit of attention, is like the thing that I'm always drawn to.
So you're a little controversial. You got a little controversy going on in there.
Maybe.
But I can totally relate to just wanting to tell a new, fresh story, something new and different that can cause thought, provoke thought, and
yeah, and reflect our times, I think. And even Operation Crucible, which is obviously set in the Second World War, to me, I've always got to know why I'm making it now, or why we're making it now. How does it resonate? And how does it make us think about the times we're in now? And I think this piece it is really personal. I guess I touched on it about how communities and cultures are constantly being tested in acts of aggression and terror, and are constantly having to reinvent themselves and continue. And so that is something that I think in this city feels quite resonant, and also in the UK too. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too that I like as far as community with this is that, at least here in America, again, I always having to compare, but a sense of community has been lost a lot over the past decades. So I'm always automatically drawn to something about a community, like where, like minded or people are going through a similar situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's also interesting to touch upon is this run that we're doing will be the first time that we will be performing on the anniversary of the
Oh,
bond, so
wow.
which was the 12th of December.
Okay.
And we've never actually played the date. We've never played the
Wow.
date, so it's a way. I think I don't want to say that we're going to. In a way, we're going to celebrate the people and commemorate them on that day, and I think that it's another reason why this run's so special to us.
Well, do you have any last words you would like to say about Operation Crucible? I need Operation
Crucible.
Crucible.
It's not about Salem witches. It's not about that. Yeah, hunting down Salem witches. It's not that.
Yeah, I think we're just so excited to be back. It felt like we were just getting started when we had to end our run last time in May, and I kind of think come along, be surprised, enjoy it, have fun, as well as hopefully hearing a really touching story.
Yeah.
And Steve?
And we're come down to the Davenport Theatre. We're here until the 23rd of December. So www.operationcrucible.com. Get your tickets, and I hope you'll take part and hopefully enjoy the story, and it will mean something to you.
Yes. Well, producer Steve McGILL.
Yes.
And director BRYONY Shanahan. Yes, I got it. I thank you very much for taking a few minutes and chatting. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.